My name's Katya Balen and my book is Foxlight. Foxlight is the story of two girls called Fen and Ray who live in a place called the Lighthouse, which is a home for children who don't have a family. But Fen and Ray are different from every other child in that home because they also don't have their story. Those children were left with letters and tokens to tell them who they are and why they were left. Fen and Ray were found on the very edge of these wildlands that surround the house. They were curled up with foxes and nobody knew where they'd come from or why they'd been left. And one day they see a fox for the first time in forever, and they decide that they're going to follow it across the wildlands to try and find their story and find their mother. So the honest answer is there are a lot of foxes in my garden. I live in South London and there were these foxes and they kept trying to come in my house and occasionally did. And they were so bold, but they were also so wild, and they were tame, but they also were so sort of at home. And sorry, that didn't make a lot of sense. They were wild, but they were tame. They wanted my house to be their home, but they also had this sort of expanse of garden that I wasn't really taking much care of. And that's so interesting. There's this link between domestic and the wild. And I thought, what would happen if I followed one of those? I'm not going to do it. I live on a railway line. That would be insane. But I just thought, what story could they lead someone to? And I started thinking about the nature of stories, the nature of wildness, and what both of those things mean to people. I want them to take away control. If that doesn't sound too controlling, I want them to understand that they are in charge of their own story, that, where you come from is important, but I think the most important thing really is where you're going, and you're in charge of that. And there are so many things that you can do to control that narrative, to tell your own story. Absolutely. I'm very clear. I don't lie to children. I think that's why, my books strike a chord with quite a lot of them. I want to tell them the truth, and the truth isn't always beautiful, and the truth isn't always kind. And these wildlands, they do look wonderful, but there are things that will take away from you. There are things that will try and kill you, and there are things that will save you. Nature is complex and it is complicated, and it isn't always working for us, and sometimes it's working against us. And that was a really powerful part of the story, especially with these two girls trying to discover who they are and how they fit together, and how nature sort of works within their lives as well, how they can be part of it. I love writing landscapes, and I got really greedy because I had written a book that was sort of set in the woods. I had written a book that was set by the sea, and I just thought, I want everything. I want mountains, I want marshland, I want a river, I want fields, I want woods. And I just threw them all at this wildland. I took basically every place that I had ever been and sort of been amazed by and been awed by, and thought, blimey, this is beautiful and scary and brilliant. And I put them all together into this land that became, I think, kind of a living, breathing part of the story, another character almost. Oh, I'm really happy. It's just incredible. I have really wanted to win this prize ever since its inception, and I write nature. That's what I do, and to be recognised by the Nature Prize is wonderful, and to be able to come here and talk to everyone who, I was saying to someone earlier, we're all on the same page. We all want the same things. We're all sharing sort of similar stories. They all have sort of a centre point where they all connect, even if we're coming from lots and lots of different angles. And that is so refreshing and wonderful.